This YouTuber tries to make the most dangerous vlog in the world. He is Mikhailo Viktorovich Polyakov, 24 years old, a YouTuber from Arizona.
He likes to travel to other countries, especially to countries with dangerous territories. And he loves talking to people there and making vlogs. But one day in 2024, he takes it a bit too far. He decided he wanted to take the most dangerous trips. But this time he made an illegal trip. He plans to travel a few hundred miles off the coast of mainland India to a restricted area on North Sentinel Island. And this is a photo of the island. Imagine a young YouTuber rowing alone in the ocean to an island the whole world knows to avoid. He brought Diet Coke and coconuts, not the usual gifts, but as a symbol of reckless exploration.
Okay, this is the story. North Sentinel Island is a small island in the Bay of Bengal, known for being home to the Sentinelese people, one of the world's most isolated tribes. Only indigenous tribes live there, and there are only about 50 to 200 people in this tribe. But actually don't know the exact population because it's so freaking isolated. The Indian government prohibits contact with the tribe to protect their way of life and shield them from modern diseases, which they cannot prevent. The country provides a minimum safety limit of 3 nautical miles. It's about 5 kilometers from the island. In fact, very few people from outside are actually on the island. For example, tourists are prohibited from visiting the island. Because of this, there are very few footage or picture of the natives. And no one knows exactly what language the natives spoke because they were so isolated from the outside world. Okay, before I continue, subscribe to this channel first, okay? Here it is. Mikhailo plans to traveling to the remote island. He plans to make a vlog on Sentinel Island. Well, here are the reasons why visiting Sentinel Island is a highly illegal act. Basically, this is because of the tribes that live there. By the way, the Sentinelese are one of the most isolated tribes on Earth. They are thought to have lived there for tens of thousands of years. The Sentinelese live by hunting. They use spears, bows, and arrows to hunt animals, fish, and stuff. In fact, in 1880, a British naval officer named Maurice Fidel Portman tried to make contact. He kidnapped several Sentinelese people to study, but they were seriously ill due to external diseases, and 2 of them died. Because they do not have immunity to diseases from the outside world, such as flu and measles. So theoretically, one of us could sneeze and accidentally wipe out the entire population, and because of that, the Indian government forbids anyone from going there. Since then, the relationship has worsened. Not only that, the Sentinelese people do not want to have contact with the outside world. They are known to be very hostile and dangerous to anyone who comes to their island. They don't like outsiders. They don't trust outsiders. When a helicopter or ship passes by, they become very angry and shoot arrows at them. And do you remember the most famous case happened in November 2018? John Allen Chau, an American missionary, dared to enter North Sentinel Island illegally to spread religion. He planned to live with the local people to invite them to embrace Christianity. Despite knowing that it was illegal to visit the island, he went anyway and paid a fisherman to take him there. John departed from Port Blair, heading for the Andaman Islands in the darkness. He arrived on the island in a canoe and brought fish as a gift. He could see the natives on the beach, and they were shouting and seemed very hostile, and eventually he retreated. But on the second day, John Allen came back to the island. This time he actually managed to get onto the island and tried to communicate with them. But one of the sentinels shot an arrow at him and almost hit him. The arrow hit the Bible he was holding, then he stepped back again. Then, on the 3rd day, he came again, and one of the sentinels shot his ass up with arrows, and he died. And the sentinel people buried him on the beach, and his body was never recovered. They're serious. They don't want outsiders entering their island. The government has even banned it. Now, we back to Mikhailo. He had a crazy plan. He thought Sentinel Island would be a great place to vlog. So he flew by plane from America to other islands in the Indian Territory, which are very close to the North Sentinel Islands territory. And he arrived in Port Blair, the capital of Andaman, in March 2025. Previously, he had tried twice to reach Sentinel Island, namely in October 2020 for using a kayak, but failed because he was stopped by hotel staff. And in January 2025, he came back to go to the island, and he tried to buy a motor engine for the boat, but failed too. Then he went back home. Mikhailo's efforts didn't stop there. On March 29, 2025, he back again. He flew back to India near North Sentinel, but this time he had different plans. Mikhailo used a rubber boat. Actually, the rubber boat did not have a motor. Then he looked for a motor to use on his rubber boat. Finally, he got the motor engine at the repair shop. Now the boat has a motor, and now he is ready to go to the island of North Sentinel. So he put the little boat into the water and go to the Forbidden Island. It took a long time to get to North Sentinel Island. He also had to use GPS for navigation. And this man traveled 25 miles, or about 9 hours, in this small boat before finally reaching the island. So finally he arrived at the beach that was forbidden to visit, Sentinel Island. So he started blowing a whistle to try to get their attention. However, unfortunately for him, he doesn't get any response from the Sentinel people, just silence while he got along with the crashing waves on the sea. And whole time he's there, he made a vlogging himself using his GoPro and saying,
"No one has landed to this island before. I am amazing."
But actually, that is not true. And he kept staying the beach, blowing the whistle on the shore for almost an hour, but still no Sentinelese people were seen. No one ever comes out of the Sentinel people. Yes, they aren't going to fall for his rage bait. And poor Mikhailo realized that this whole thing is a bust. And he gathers some sand on the island to take back as a souvenir. And he leaves a can of Diet Coke and a coconut on the beach as an offering to the tribe. He thought Diet Coke would change them. After he leaves cola and coconut, he back to his rubber boat, and he spent a few more hours a little offshore, blowing his whistle trying to get the islanders' attention. But no one ever appears, and ultimately, he calls it a day and he starts heading back to the beach and back to the main island where he left. And of course, it took him another 9 hours to get back. But at some point in his journey, he met some local fishermen, and they didn't like what he doing. They knew that visiting Sentinel Island is illegal, so the fishermen called the police. And police found him and arrested him. This is a photo of Mikhailo when he arrested. He faces a sentence of up to 5 to 8 years in prison and a fine. At the time of last report, he remained in custody awaiting further hearing. Mikhailo's story isn't just about extreme adventure or lawlessness. It's a reflection of a world with limited content, one where we rarely think twice about our boundaries with other cultures. What do you think prompted Mikhailo to take such a risk? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for future stories like this.